Hey, thanks for joining me for another episode of the Faith and Finance Newsletter Podcast. I am your host, Nick Garofalo, and I'm glad you're here. We're picking up, still kind of mid-series on exploring contentment and desire and just all of the jobs we give to money that money cannot actually do for us. And so a few weeks ago, I wrote about a man who slept with his pet snake. You can check that out in the archives. But the metaphor came from my good friend. He's a fellow financial advisor, and his application was basically for investment accounts specifically. But I've started wondering where else we may find the snake at work in our lives and where we may be ignoring its power. And that was kind of his key warning, was like, you have to respect the power of the snake. So here's what I mean. The stewardship conversation in Christian financial planning is, I believe it's genuinely good. Finish lines, lifestyle caps, fixed giving percentages that grow over time, kingdom investing, through biblically based investing, through generosity focused investing like solving.org and the problems they're solving. And these tools are built to relativize money. Okay. What I mean is to put it in its proper place as an instrument rather than an end. Okay. The intent is to essentially harness the snake's power by redirecting its energy towards something good and wholesome, right? Like if you can't beat it, then train it, right? Channel it, point it somewhere good. And I think it works. I think these ideas really work partially. But because when money becomes the primary category through which we discuss faithfulness, and when the central question of the Christian life becomes, oh, what are you doing with your resources? We have made money very large and very important, even while arguing that it need not be. The cure has contracted the very disease that we're trying to heal. And the snake is still in the house, just maybe not in the bed. Randy Alcorn, speaking to a room of Christian financial advisors, put a warning into his notes that really has stuck with me. He said, be careful what you promise or imply. Do real good when you help people plan responsibly, but don't imply that money can make people safe, significant, or whole. Oof. Yeah, it can't. And the moment that we let it carry that weight, that it could make you safe, significant, or whole, even in the direction of generosity and kingdom impact, which I'm all for, we've handed money far more power than it deserves. Have I made peace in my heart with something that's actually very dangerous to my soul? And do I ever self-justify by good works? Like, oh, look at how much I love you, God, or look at how much I love others, or all the ways I'm obeying scripture, or the way I manage my money. So the problem of loving money is not solved by managing it or fixating on our management of it. The problem is that money, in almost any direction you point it, expands to the limits of whatever space you give it. Okay. I'll show you what I mean. If you point money toward accumulation, then it becomes your security and the high wall in your imagination that I've talked about before. If you point it toward generosity, now it's a metric of holiness. Oh, how much have you given away? If you point it at kingdom work, well, now it can actually start to feel like the primary mechanism through which God moves. None of these are the intention, and none of them are inherently, well, I don't want to say they're not wrong. These are inevitable drifts that happen when we point money towards something and expect it to not expand and fill to the boundaries of whatever we've given it. Okay. Paul warned Timothy that the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil, not money itself, but the disordered desire for it. So the drift doesn't require necessarily greed, but it requires a disordered desire, right? The disordered desire of loving money is what will lead to all kinds of evil. So it just means that if we give money a seat at the head of the table and let it run the conversation, we are well on our way to down the path of loving money, right? Even if we're pointing it at something good, we're still giving it too large of a role in our lives. And us as good-hearted Christians, we are absolutely not immune to this, right? The tools of stewardship, like finish lines, giving percentages, etc. These are disciplines. They're like spiritual disciplines. Great, great things, right? Not measures of the soul, not measures of our standing before the Lord. And the moment that these kinds of things become our scoreboard, in a way that we like feel righteous or feel guilty if we're not good enough, or a mountaintop of like Christian achievement that we are finally summiting, then the snake may still be growing, right? Just in a room that we built to try to contain it. But the bottom line, guys, is we are so much more than just our money. We are more than our accumulation. We're more than our stuff. We're more. One's life does not consist in the abundance of his possessions, as Jesus said. And I don't say that as like a consolation prize for those who don't have much of it, but as a theological stake in the ground about what being human actually is. You, dear listener, dear friend, you are skills and talents. You are presence. You are heart and soul, your prayer, your creativity. You are something with whom God desires a covenant relationship. And you are the person who makes the phone call nobody else wanted to make, who writes the note that changes somebody's life, who teaches the thing that only you know how to teach, and who is present in ways in the lives of those around you that cannot possibly be denominated in dollars. Alcorn talked a lot about warm-handed generosity as well, which is basically just giving while you're alive instead of giving in your will after you have passed away. The warmth in giving, the warm hand is the point, right? The relationship is the point. Money, when you give, connects you with whatever you're giving to, right? So the more you can give, the more connected in relationship you are with the recipient of your gift, and the more invested you are in seeing that relationship grow and flourish and do well. Think of supporting a missionary, right? If you are genuine, well, like if you're continually supporting folks overseas, or local ministries to you, the more you're involved financially, the more you want to see them do well and flourish and grow and achieve the mission that they're setting out to do and reach those that need to be reached, right? So giving from a warm hand is a way that you can capital, well, it's a way that you can leverage money as a tool of relational creation, right? Relationship building. But money is just one instrument. It's just one. It's not the whole orchestra. So a quick question is, who have I been tempted to help, quote unquote, with money when what they actually needed was my presence or my skills or my talents or my time? Sometimes it's easy to just sort of write a check to something and not actually help it, right? Not actually deal with the problem that they're really suffering with, or sit with them in the discomfort they're feeling. And we can use money as a way to hide behind the vulnerability required. So the real question, my friends, what are you trusting money to do? The question underneath the finish line conversation isn't usually about the number. It's about what we are trusting or asking the number to do. Because if you're trusting it to quiet the anxiety you feel, or settle your conscience before God, or to make you feel like you're finally doing enough, then my friend, the snake may still actually be in your bed. Augustine's holy desire quote, it just is kind of the underlying deeper thread of this entire conversation. It's the orientation of a person who's looked at money honestly, respected its power, and refused to just inflate its importance. The goal is that we would pick up our whole lives and walk toward the kingdom. And money is a part of that walk, but it's a small part. It's not the whole picture. So, two closing questions. What am I hoping that enough money will finally fix in me? And if Jesus asked me, if I asked Jesus to define faithfulness for me, how would his definition look different from mine? right? So earlier I asked about how you would define faithfulness, and I reworded it slightly to try to make it a little more interesting, but just like that question about self-justifying, right? Do I heap up my good works and my obedience to scripture and, oh, look at how good I'm managing money, and look at, the way I'm raising my kids and whatever, like, look at all this stuff, God, isn't this impressive? Shouldn't you love me more? Right? Like that's a common disposition in the spiritual journey, is to try to make God extra happy with us by what a good job we're doing. So what if I asked Jesus, hey, what is faithfulness? And just sat and listened to his definition and then compared it to mine. What would look different? Right? What might Jesus be inviting me into that I'm missing because I'm too busy trying to impress him with my good management? So anyway, I hope this has encouraged you and given you some good food for thought. I'll see you next week.